All right, welcome back to the channel. This is Matt Garland, NMLS number 58700, better known as MG the Mortgage Guy. We are live, we are blessed. Thank God for another day. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And make sure you share this page with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people if you can. And then make sure you go to mgbookstore.com, pick up the latest and greatest books. We got House Hackonomics, and we got the Real Estate Investors Manifesto. We got Tooks Productions in the building, as always. What did I say your name was going to be? Super producer? No, that's Jordana. What's your name? Production manager? What's your title?
My title's Tooks.
We got Tooks. Tooks in the building, okay? And then we also have a very special guest. My girl, Alison Wellington, is in the building. What's up, Alison? How are you today?
I'm alive and blessed.
There you have it.
I'm alive and blessed.
Alison's a big earner, too.
Yes.
You know, original OG earner at that.
Yeah, it was before it was the investment group, when it was the real estate group.
When it was the real estate group.
OG.
That's OG. Only a few know about that. You know, that's crazy. I just thought about that. The whole shit started off of real estate.
Absolutely.
Shout out to MG.
Yep.
All right. So today's topic, we are talking about love and real estate. So there's a post that's floating around Instagram. It was first posted I saw it on Spiritual World. And as of right now, that thing has like almost 2 million views in like a few days.
Yep.
And thousands and thousands and thousands of comments. The shit is going crazy. And then I saw you did like a remix or you reposted it.
Yep.
And then it's going crazy on your page.
Yep.
Now, Alison, first of all, introduce yourself to the people. Tell them who you are, what you do, so they can better understand why I have you here today.
Yes, absolutely. So, hello everyone. My name is Alison. I am a certified dating and relationship coach, and I primarily work with singles to help them secure the partners that they deserve. So, that's what I do.
Certified.
Yes.
Certified. We're going to talk about that later because I want to know how you get certified, because there's a lot of people out here talking relationships that I'm sure ain't got no certifications.
Absolutely
at all.
not.
They just got a fucking opinion.
Yep.
Sometimes it's terrible opinion. So this video that went viral too. So let's play the video. Let's get y'all caught up to speed, because I think this is going to be a great video, a great conversation.
All right, let's play it.
As long as we, continue this marriage, you have to get us a house. You have to buy us a house.
I will have to buy it?
So I could say my husband bought me a house.
So you don't want to have no parts in helping me buy the house?
I mean, I'll be on the deed.
How does that work?
Oh, it works every day in marriages.
You been married before?
In other people's marriages I know about.
Oh.
Their husband bought them a house, a car. I mean, especially if I'm pushing out kids. Those are some good push gifts.
We can, Shaquille, let's save to work towards buying a house together. It was just a, Shaquille, no, you gonna buy me a house.
Yeah.
I'm just stuck on the buying you a house.
Us a house.
You said you. You said buy my wife a house.
Yeah. This is who I am. Keep thinking. Let's think at home. As long as we, continue this.
Interesting. There you have it. Very interesting.
She said, that's me. With that little crazy ass laugh.
The end of that is she's saying a lot right there. She said, that's me, that's who I am. So my thoughts on this, at first I said, this lady's out of her fucking mind. Because I just looked at it as she's super narcissistic. She's talking about, you're going to buy me a house. Basically, so I can tell all my friends that my husband purchased me a house. And then at the end, she tried to flip the script and say, yo, it's for us. But she didn't want to make no financial contributions or nothing towards it. Which, that part of it I'm okay with, right? And let me say this, let me be on record. If a man can afford, because me and Tooks have had this conversation plenty of times here, right? I personally believe the man controls the thermostat in the house. If the man is the breadwinner of the house and he makes, a good amount of money, especially more than his woman, then he should be paying the bills. Me personally.
Okay.
Now, she can pay utilities, maybe cable bill or something like that to kind of even it out. But I think like when you're talking about mortgage or rent or anything like that, I feel like the man should be paying for that, me personally, right? And I think the woman should be responsible for maybe utilities, groceries, light stuff,
Okay.
you know, to contribute to the household. And when it comes to purchasing a home, if you are married, I feel as if the man can afford to down payment, closing costs, and purchase the home without using the wife's savings or money,
Yeah.
then I personally think like he should. Right? Now, if she wants to be on the mortgage, great. Be on the deed, great. Right? But I shouldn't have to use her money. Only if I have it like that.
Right.
Right?
Emphasis on if you have it like that.
Emphasis.
And we are located in New York City.
Different
And so
different world here.
It's a different world. It's a different animal. And so
Correct.
we have to be realistic about the type of house we want, the style of home, right? What houses are going for, what the market is looking like, and who you are potentially marrying. This is the thing. I agree with you for the most part. If a gentleman is in a position to afford most of the bills in the household or whatever that looks like, and that's what they've agreed to, then cool. The problem is in that video, it seems like they haven't had a conversation. Now, I know that that clip is from a show, 90 Day Fiancé. So that's why you should not be marrying someone that you haven't dated for a significant period of time. They haven't had the opportunity to have the conversation to even say what the finances look like and what the expectation looks like. I agree. If a gentleman is in a position to afford it, yes. But how practical is that in America in 2023? The average man in America makes $61,000. The average woman in America makes $51,000. It is not practical in this day and age with inflation for one person to carry the brunt of the responsibilities. So I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if they're going to walk down the aisle. I don't think they're going to make it on the show.
No, hell no, they're not going to work. They're not going to work. Me personally, I'm not hating on their downfall, but that's definitely not going to work because, again, you was who you was before you got here,
Yeah.
right? You was who you was before you got here. So for me, the way she's speaking about this is it's about her friends, it's about her family,
Yep.
it's about telling something versus let's build something.
Yes.
And if you're trying to get married, that's a commitment, but it's also a business too at the same time.
It is.
And you're only thinking about what works for you, not us as a partnership, as a union, as a business together. And you keep saying, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me.
Yes.
And, oh, no, I'm not going to go on the loan. I'm not contributing financially, but I'm going to go on a deed.
Yes.
So you want ownership.
Yes.
What-
Dangerous.
And you still saying it's mine or you buying it for me. Now, to me, I think that's a super red flag. In any relationship that you're dealing with, someone has that narcissistic type of mentality where they're only thinking about themselves and not thinking about the union.
I agree. Now, let me ask you, there is some strategy, though, behind one person in a relationship purchasing the home all on their own, using their own finances under their own name, and then potentially the other person. So what does that look like, not in this particular case, but being strategic? What does it look like with a relationship and folks buying homes under their own name?
So if you're going to divide and conquer is what I like to call that, right? Where if you can, first of all, if you can get approved, if you can afford to purchase the home separately, my thing is, and this is what I speak about in house economics, shameless plug, right, is to divide and conquer, house hack, build the real estate portfolio, buy multifamilies first. Each of you buy a 4-family, work your way down. So by the time you get married, you each have some sort of portfolio, stuff like that. Because most of the time when people get engaged, it may take them 2 years. A year to 2, a year to 3, and you can probably answer that better than me, but I'm just going off of what I see
Right.
in our community. It takes a couple years before they actually walk down the aisle. So within that time, if you have the finances and you're capable, you can start building up a real estate portfolio separately, and then when you get married, you can really afford to buy your dream home because you have all that cash flow coming in.
Well, let me tell you one of the issues with that, right? So what I found is that a lot of women are afraid to purchase property on their own. They have the finances, they have the credit, they're in a position to do so. They are afraid that they're going to be viewed as masculine and undesirable by other guys because the look is like, well, if you're already established and you already got it, then what do you need me for? There's a lot of conversation with guys feeling inadequate if their woman or their potential woman got it. They're doing well. They're established. So it's really hard for women to draw the line. We're in a really tough space between the modern era and the traditional era where it's like, well, as a woman, I got it. I'm in a position to do, but then I don't want to be a turnoff. I don't want it to be where they're going to feel like I don't need them or I don't need their support because I'm established. I already got my crib. I already got my car. I'm already doing things. What do you do about that?
So let's talk about the traditional era. We're talking about when women didn't have rights?
Yes. Couldn't even open a bank account.
Like, I mean, what are we really talking about here? So was that really the quote unquote traditional era? Or women just by law couldn't do shit?
But, yeah, but same thing. It's synonymous.
But they were forced into the quote unquote traditional era because they were not able to, in most cases, go out here and be homeowners, have employment, and do certain things until the laws change. Right. And then when the laws change, then you see the women empowerment movement started, and gradually, decade over decade, it has gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. So when people talk about traditional versus modern, I understand what people say. These modern women ain't like my grandma because your grandma couldn't do shit. Right. Like the laws wasn't in her favor for grandma to do shit.
That's a part of the problem is that we romanticize, well, our grandparents stuck it out and they were together and we romanticize that. But how much of it is that grandma wanted to stay? Or how much of that was that granddaddy wanted to stay or felt obligated to do so because divorce was unacceptable? How many of our grandparents may have been abused or abusive? How many of our grandparents allowed somebody to have a whole family on the other side of town, half brothers, half sisters going to school, can't even acknowledge each other. So there's a lot of romanticism behind the good old days, but the good old days has a lot to do with people not having the opportunity, many times women, to open up a bank account or to work or to do for themselves. So then now that women are in a position to do so, it's murky. It's real murky.
No, it's definitely murky. So for me personally, if I see a woman, if I'm dating a woman and she got her ish together, she owns real estate, business, even if she doesn't have a business, let's just say she has a job, right? W-2, she's going to work every day, but she's using her time wisely to, create multiple streams of income. I love that. Like, why would I, as a man, want to dim the light of a woman just because she might be established?
Because
that makes no sense.
You're MG the mortgage guy.
But that
because you're MG the mortgage guy.
You heard what she just said? She said you're MG the mortgage guy.
What does that mean?
That means that you are confident. You are established. You have built a brand that's above and beyond. You have changed people's... Episode 12, EYO, you changed my life. You changed hundreds of thousands of people. You're not the average Joe that's just working a 9-to-5 and then trying to find their way. I can imagine the women are flocking themselves to you. You don't have to do the flocking. So to compare yourself and who you are in our culture to the average Joe, again, $61,000 a year, that's not a fair comparison. You're not living the life that the average person is. It's the truth. I don't mean to make you blush.
See?
I'm telling the truth.
I'm not blushing.
All right.
I'm trying not to laugh. Because you said making $61,000 a year, and you said average Joe, and I had to think about like $61,000 a year. Like, wait a minute, hold on. I don't make $61,000 a year.
Exactly.
When was the last time you even made that kind of money? A year.
A year?
Yeah.
High school? Were you 8? You know what I'm saying?
When was the last time I made $61,000 in a year?
I was in college.
The last time I made $61,000 a year was probably like during the crash.
So that was like what?
2008. I was in college. Yeah.
When shit went bad for me, and like, I mean, that's great income, but for me and my lifestyle at that time, that was no money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that was great money for me because I was in college. I was balling. I had a Nissan Altima. You couldn't tell me nothing.
Well, before I got into the business, I was probably making $50,000, $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
Before 20, like consistently, like my life, like from when I really started working like real jobs, it was probably like that $50,000 to $60,000, and that was good income in my opinion at that time. But that soon changed.
Yeah.
Once I got into.
So you're probably a little out of touch with.
I'm not out of touch at all.
I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you do say certain things that like.
Like what jokes?
like that certain amount of money isn't a lot. I mean, I
100K,
get where it's coming from.
100K is not.
It's
a lot
not.
of money.
I agree,
It's
but
not.
In New York City, let's add that.
In anywhere in America, it's not a lot of money.
In South Carolina, you're balling. In Mississippi, you're
no,
balling.
No, you're not. Because, okay, 100K gross, you're going net what? 65, 70,000 if you don't have high state taxes like New York, right? 65, 70 on a good, I mean, so 70K, what is that, $6,000 a month? Yeah, can you live good? Can you have a great lifestyle? But in the grand scheme of things, it's still not a lot of money. I can go spend $100,000 today on a watch. It's not a lot of money. Whatever I can go
Because
spend.
he's MG the mortgage guy.
No, I'm just like, see, y'all gonna take this. Y'all gonna have these people in my
I didn't want to go
comments.
off topic with that, but like it's just what
But
she
I'm
was
not a
saying was
normal
like
guy, though.
you're not right.
I don't think no one should be considering themselves normal.
I agree.
No one should say that they're regular.
No one should say,
'Cause
but
that-
the stats are the stats, and they are what they are, right? And if they fall into that particular category of this is the salary or this is the lifestyle, this is the level of education, it is what it is.
No, it is what it is. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't at the end of the day. But you still can be a provider,
Yes.
and you can
Yeah,
still
yeah.
you can still champion your woman, right? Even if you
Always.
make 60, 70K a year. So that's why, circling back to your original comment, was men feel that the woman is independent or they're masculine because they are achieving success.
Yes.
What the fuck is wrong with that? Why would I want a broke chick?
All right, broke and achieving beyond what that man may have achieved thus far is two different things.
I think we're gonna have you on the channel regular. 'Cause
Right.
I like how you saying this thing.
Right,
Right.
because
Okay, come on.
Right, so I could not be broke, meaning I can afford my lifestyle in my one-bedroom apartment. In the Altima that I've been driving since 2008, I'm not broke, right? I can maintain myself, I'm okay. But I think many times in society what you find is that some guys are not comfortable with their woman outperforming them. That's the issue at hand. So if the gentleman has an apartment and I have a house, if he has the Altima and I have a Benz, now it's, well, she's outperforming me. She's making more money than me. What is my value? What is my worth? A part of the problem is how we're defining masculine and feminine. That's a part of the issue in society, right? That a man is not really a man if he's not performing well financially. A woman is not really a woman if she's not cooking or cleaning or childbearing or whatever that looks like. So that's what I'm saying. We're in really murky waters between this traditional and modern. And now modern is used as a curse word. That's an insult. If you say these modern women, what does that mean? Masculine, hard to love, argumentative, right? Versus saying empowered, and even like boss chick, we're kind of moving away from that. Now the terms are living a soft life. I want to live a soft life. So it's a pendulum, and I don't know what direction we're going in, but that couple right there, they're going to hell because it cannot work. She's not saying, I'm a traditional woman. My intention is to take care of our home. My intention is to care for our children, the majority. So dad's got to do their part. And so my expectation of you as my future husband is that you're the provider. That's reasonable. That's reasonable. What she's talking about is, I want you to purchase a home so I can tell my friends that you purchased this home.
Yeah, she's a narcissist. That's like a narcissist to me. Like, it's all about you. It's all about, I want to be able to go brag.
Yeah.
I want to go have clout.
Yep.
Like, I want to post this on the gram.
Yeah.
That's all I'm seeing when she's saying this shit. And for me, I wouldn't like that. Like, and that's why Homeboy's reaction, he's looking at her like she crazy. Like, you out your fucking mind. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, it's not for us. It's for you. Like, now I can understand, again, a man, I believe, controls the thermostat in his household. And if he is financially able to, he should put up the money to buy the crib. Down payment, closing costs.
That's so risky.
It's
That's so
not-
risky for us as women.
If this is no, because you're still gonna be on. You can still be on the mortgage. I'm not saying I'm gonna do the loan in my name. You're not included. I'm not saying you're not gonna be on the deed of the house, right? I'm saying if I financially can afford to do down payment, closing costs, right? And I can still have you be on the mortgage. I really don't need your income to qualify. But you know what? If I want to make you feel comfortable, come on the loan. Come on the deed. So you know you have
A stake, yeah.
You first of all, if we're married, it's a marital residence, right? So you're gonna get half or whatever. You're gonna have to figure it out if it's a divorce. But I think as a man, whether I'm MG the mortgage guy today or Matthew Garland from 20 years ago, that's always kind of been my mentality. If I can afford it, then my woman should not have to pay. Now, if I can't afford it, this is a different story.
Of course.
We got to figure out what's the right split. And I always would take the larger split. Unless, again, there's times where I couldn't just because of the market crash or something like that. Now I need you.
But what about if you don't out-earn your woman? So if you don't out-earn her, do you still take the larger split?
Yep.
That's what I was going to ask. That was my next
So
question.
if she's sipping champagne and you drinking water, like,
no,
like if she's balling, she's still.
Again, if I have the capital to put let's just say I make $100K, she makes $250. But I'm a good saver. I'm not out here blowing my money fast, and I got down payment and closing cost money, and I can go say, babe, we're gonna buy this house. Da 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 da. I don't need your down payment and closing costs. And she's gonna know what my income is compared to hers, and she's probably gonna say, no, let me contribute. And I'm saying, nah, I got this, babe. I got you. She's gonna love me even more now because she knows that's a huge sacrifice that I'm making to make her feel like the ultimate queen. Now, what I might circle the block back and say, look, babe, you probably got to buy this furniture.
Yeah, I was going to
You gotta
say,
furnish the
what is
home.
she doing with the money? Yeah.
Like, I'll do down payment closing costs, you do the furniture, because in the grand scheme of things, depending on the size of the house and you buy furniture is very expensive.
Yes.
You can run a $20,000 furniture bill up if you got a couple bedrooms and stuff like that, couches, basements. It could be a $20,000 ticket before you know it, $25,000. And I think that can be an even exchange. But again, it's a conversation that's being had, and we come into a mutual agreement. But ultimately, as the man, I will always I'm not going to say control, but I will always want to have the authority in my household, if that makes sense. I think authority is important.
So I get you. I appreciate you. However. Right.
Okay.
So you outlined legally what protections your wife or your partner would have.
Correct.
Name on the deed, name on the mortgage, potentially if that's what she wanted. If it's purchased while you're married, got that. I think it has more to do with some emotional pieces that we're leaving out here, which is it's your house, right? So even if legally, yes, it's my home as well, but you're the one who put down the down payment and you're the one who did the closing costs, it can be my house, my rules, my roof, like that kind of language. That's the part when I mean that it's dangerous.
No,
that
that's
in an
only-
argument, man, you could slap me with that. And what I'm going to say, you right. Legally, I got it. But who cares about legally when we're arguing right now?
No, that's only dangerous if we are not together and I'm moving into your property. Or, you know what I'm saying? Now it could be like, oh, this is her house. This ain't my house. Right? So that's when I think what you just said comes into play when we're saying this is my house versus, no, this is my house, right? No, I think if we are engaged, we're going to get married, and this is going to be our marital residence, this is our house. It doesn't matter who put up the bread.
Right.
To me personally, and this is just my thought process. You niggas can think whatever you want.
So let me ask you, so you just made a good point about moving into a woman's home. She already has the home, you potentially moving into it, and then not feeling like it's yours because you weren't there to purchase it, you didn't have any decision making, obviously you weren't around, right? So what does that woman do to make you feel more comfortable? Does she sell her home? Does she Airbnb it? Does she, like, how do you feel like the man in this particular situation if you are now getting with a woman who's already established and already owns her home?
Would I move in?
Yeah, what do you do? She got a house, what do you do?
Do I have a house? So hold on.
Okay, let's do both. You got a house.
Because we have to kind of like set the tone for this because it's kind of different ways this can go. If I'm living in an apartment, let's just say I got a 1-bedroom.
Okay.
And she's financially more established than me. She has her own home, this, that, and third. And we're getting serious. And we're probably going to get married. And she says, yo, my house is big enough for us. Come move in this house. I would really have to think about that one. Because my ego would get in the way. And I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah, that's facts. I mean,
like my ego would get in the way because growing up, you was always taught never move into a woman's house because it's her house, and if she can kick your ass out, right? But I also believe as a man, you still got to have a stash, too, if you still do something like that. So if you can afford it, I probably wouldn't get rid of my apartment, and vice versa, right? If the woman is moving in with the guy, and if she can afford it, maybe she still have her stash spot until you see how it is when you move in together.
So let's talk about the stash spots.
Because you need a stash spot.
The thing is, see, you need, why? Because that's what I was going to get to.
Because it's the parachute.
Right.
It's a parachute.
But that's the issue, though, is that if we're talking about two people who are joining their lives together potentially for the rest of their life. That's what they say when they walk down the aisle, right? And they
Facts.
give those vows.
No, but we're
then you
talking about
should not
before they
be.
do that. We're talking about before you get married. We were saying your conversation was prior to marriage.
Yes.
Right? Now, if we're married,
Okay.
that's a different story. I don't care if it's my house, your house. If we're married, look, put my name on this deed. Like, because I need to make sure that I'm secure because now I'm going to pay the bills.
But are you moving in before marriage with this girl?
Ooh.
9 times out of 10, you
Because
are.
if you are,
This
then
is how we do in our community. We're not living separately.
Hold on,
for the
no.
most
But
part.
if you said in your case, you're only moving in with a girl if you're taking it serious. I'm assuming, right? If you're getting to that level of marriage.
Absolutely. Because first of all, intentional dating is very important. Right? People are out here just dating just to date. People are just out here just smashing, doing whatever they got to do. So I firmly believe, and I can say this now because I am single, if I'm going to date you, I need to date you on intentions. I can't just date you just because I want to smash, right? You can just go smash a little jump off for that. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it real, right? If you just want to smash. But if I'm dating you and I'm putting my time, my energy, like we on the phone, we vacations, we doing all of this shit, then what's my intent as a man?
Yeah.
What am I just here to play with you? Right? And I think as men, we have to start thinking about that too, because as you get older and older and older, you don't want to be out here in the streets too. So am I dating you with intentions? Do I have a real purpose for you in my life? Do I see you in my life? Because if I don't, then why am I wasting my time? Why am I spending my energy budget as we were speaking on yesterday? Why am I giving you my time and my energy and my resources if I don't see anything that can happen between us for a long-term perspective? And I think most men think short-term. They're only thinking about now, right? So for me, and I can only speak for me, guys.
Yeah.
I am not going to move into a woman's house or have her move into my house if I can't see this woman potentially being my wife, or if I'm not moving towards that with her in a relationship, because there's no reason for you to move in my crib then. There's no reason for none of this. You can now sleep over, but you got to go home at some point.
Right.
Right? You got to still have your own spot because there needs to be that separation. There needs to be that space. But if we are dating intentionally to be in a long-term committed relationship, then I don't care who house it is, because if I love you, then I love you, and we can make it work. And we can grow through anything that we go through. Just my opinion.
So now I'm thinking the woman owns the property. For whatever reason, it's decided that you're the one who's moving into her property. It's more centrally located, it's larger, whatever it is. Are you like retroactively contributing, meaning that
No.
No.
Why am I retroactive?
Because if you want the name on the all right, let me tell you why.
No. See, that's bullshit what you're going with.
No, you know where I'm going.
No,
With
I know
equity.
exactly.
Okay, all right, so go ahead.
I understand what you're saying, right? But that's bullshit. Are you retroactive if you're moving into my house?
You said as the man, I'm a woman.
No, fuck that. Because you can't. Now that's when y'all can't be saying that, right? The retroactive, you want part of my equity. That's when they get the muddy waters. Like, no, if we end this, we end this. Period, point blank. So if you don't want me to move in your house and have the benefits of being a homeowner with you, then don't invite me to move over. Why am I moving in then? So, because if I move in, my stipulation or condition would be I need to be on the deed, because I know from the moment that I move in, I'm assuming the responsibility of the debt of this house. And before I move in, I need to know what's going on with this debt, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your loan? Are you on time? You got some issues going on that you might not have been telling me. Tell me so we can work and grow through it, and I can get us in a stable playing field if that's the case, if you got some delinquencies and stuff. But if you want me to move in and you planning on marrying me and being my wife, then if you had this house for 10 years, I don't care how much money you put into it. I don't care about none of that. It's our house now. Because the same way applies if you come to my house and if I put you on my deed.
But you control the thermostat of the household.
Yes, but you control that thermostat of that household, and now I'm coming to control it. Now I'm taking over from when you got us to here. You got the house. We need the house to be at 72 degrees. You got it to 62, baby. I'm going to get that extra 10 degrees up.
Okay.
So now you worked that hard. You came this far to get us this far. Now I'm going to take over from here. So now whatever needs to be done to the house, from repairs, maintenance, bills, whatever the case may be, as the man, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to treat this like I purchased this house. So therefore, if we do divorce or we do break up, as a man, now you have to hold yourself accountable and say it was fair too. all right, if I know this got $300,000-$400,000 worth of equity, do I deserve to take half of this lady's equity? Maybe not, right? But does she deserve to take half of my equity if we get divorced? See, this is when the waters can get a little bit muddy, but I think that's when conversation is very important, and multiple conversations, not just one time or two times.
Absolutely.
Like you really have to have this conversation, and then also in writing.
I was going to say, what are your thoughts on prenups? Prenups, postnups, what are your thoughts?
I love it all. I love it all. It's clarity. It's like we know exactly what's happening during and after. Worst case scenario. Look, you have to pray for the best and plan for the worst when you're dealing with business. Marriage and relationships is business. Love and real estate is probably $1 trillion business.
I'm sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure.
And financial reasons is probably, and you know this, is probably one of the leading causes of divorces. Yes. Right? So if couples are not having this type of dialogue and having thorough dialogue and putting things in writing and stuff like that, then that's when the water gets muddy, because it's always he said, she said. No, if we got documentation, then it's no he said, she said. This is what we agreed upon.
Yes.
And why are we changing this? There's no reason for us to change this. And that's why, yes, I am a fan of a prenup. If I get married, oh, hell yeah. You going to sign this paper, Mama? I'm sorry. It is what it is. I'm doing too well for myself and for you not to.
So that was going to be my next point. So you're doing too well for yourself. We already established this is
and
MG.
Even if you are.
This is MG the mortgage guy, right?
Yeah.
But we talking about, again, the average Joe, that 61K. Are you an advocate for everyone? Do you think that it's just something that every marital couple, or I guess premarital, right, should have established before they walk down the aisle? Do you think that this is dependent on how established the individuals are? I can tell you this. One thing that makes me nervous is when we start talking about that prenup conversation. I get the value of having a convo early in the game, but it also sounds like the parachute. It sounds like I don't trust that this is going to work. And so as a result, I'm going to build in an exit strategy so that when this fails, I'm good and I'm protected and you're asked out. That's I get logically, but again, that's the complexity behind romantic relationships. It's not only logic and reason. It's also emotions that are a part of it. So it's like, I can sign it from a logical perspective, but what are you insinuating by even offering me the document? You're insinuating that you think it's going to end.
No, well, why are you even thinking about it? I'm insinuating anything. Why can't it just be like in life, you need exit strategies for everything? This is here to protect you too. So you're looking at it as glass half empty.
If I'm balling, if I'm not. If I'm the 51K, then it's not protecting me. I'm losing.
How is you losing?
If 51K is marrying MG the mortgage guy, and the prenup is protecting you and whatever, let's say whatever you make while we're married, and you even grow even larger, then when we leave, I'm back to 51K.
No, you're not, because I'm gonna make sure that you're good, because I don't want to leave you. If I'm giving you a lifestyle that you never had before in your life, and I've created this lifestyle for you, then do I think you should be able to sustain that lifestyle to a certain extent? Absolutely, right? A certain extent. A certain extent. Right? Should you go back to just being check to check, basically? No. Hell no. You should. If you put up with my shit, that's a job in itself. Right? So you're going to have to deal with me. You're going to have to, deal with my bullshit. So ultimately, if I'm up and I'm stuck and I'm growing, I'm making all this money, if we divorce or anything like that, why wouldn't I want you to be good?
I think that you're a good man.
Yeah, I don't think that
sentiment is normal or average. I don't know if you guys saw that story recently of the soccer player who had 90%.
That was gangster.
See, look, he's smiling. He's smiling. He loves it.
Shout out to the soccer player, yo. City Boys up 500,000 points.
City Boys are up a couple points. But
I love that.
Right, but look, that's two different ideologies.
No,
that's exactly what he did. He purposefully took 90% of his salary and put it and invested it under his mom's name so that he could avoid
exit strategy.
All right. So then, but that's not providing a similar lifestyle. That's the exact opposite of what you just said.
No, because the type of money that man makes, right, 10% is still millions of dollars. So ultimately, Ma, you're going to get this. You wasn't shooting with me in the gym. You wasn't on the soccer field with me all this time. We were probably married for a short period of time, right? So look. You get 10, 15, 20, 50%, whatever of this small percentage, which is probably still a couple M's. Be happy with that.
You're right.
That was brilliant. That was the most brilliant shit I've seen on the internet all year. And I guarantee you more people are going to follow suit with that. You know why? Because is it fair for a woman to get 50% of what if somebody's making like sick money, 10, 20, $30 million a year consistently and accumulating all this stuff, is it fair for them to get 50% of that?
Ask LeBron. LeBron says that he wouldn't be the man that he is. He wouldn't
LeBron
be the player.
Different. LeBron
Why?
is different.
No, but it's the same
Different.
logic.
Yeah.
When you
No,
have
it's
a
not.
woman, if you have a woman from early on, I'm not talking about you 50 years old and married. If you have somebody who's early on in the game with you, in the game of life with you, they're
She
holding
was
you
shooting
down.
with him in the gym. That's different.
But okay,
That's
all right.
different.
All right, so not
That's
Savannah
different.
because that's high school.
Yes, that's
okay.
different.
All right, so I mean,
Exactly.
I don't know. I was gonna say Kobe. But I don't know if I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's not going to
Somebody else who's early on in the game, Aisha and Steph Curry. They were together early on in the
Okay.
game, right? So if this woman is caring for you in the home, taking care of your home, taking care of your children, being that support system, pushing you, motivating you, cooking your meals, packing your lunch, making your doctor's appointments.
Different.
You ain't got to. So
She was with this man since college shooting in the gym. That's different. She was there from the very beginning and she helped to come up. Look, I'm not opposed to a woman who's been with that man for years, decades, whatever the case may be, and it just, down the line, it didn't work out. Should she be entitled to still live a good life and still have a certain amount of money coming in? Absolutely, especially if you have children together.
Especially, yeah.
Absolutely. There's no debate about that. But when you start making the Steph Curry type of money, the LeBron type of money, when we're talking billions basically, do you deserve $500 million?
no.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Take this 20 piece. No, seriously. Take 20. Why do you need a half a
don't.
$500 million for? No, I understand everything you just said, but do you really deserve 50%? There has to be some sort of percentages like
That are reasonable.
that are very low, because even if it's 5% or 10% of a billion, you're still up $10 million or something like that, right? And you still probably going to have the house, the car, all these other things that's going to come with. But do you need to take 50% of what I've earned? No.
No, I think most women are in that situation. They're put in opportunities where they can run their own businesses, and you have husbands that make a lot of money, and they can, help them front whatever business they always wanted to do, whether it's hair, beauty, whatever it is. So in those cases, usually a woman should be more established at that point, so where if they do divorce, they can both live their life separately and comfortably.
I agree. And I agree to a point that you made earlier about the stash. The stash being your first property, the stash being financial. Like you should be putting money off to the side. For me, I can say in my marriage, my husband and I have a joint account. That's where we pay all of our bills that are in common. And then we have separate accounts where we can buy whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to come ask me and say, hey, babe, can I buy this $500 pair of sneakers? Absolutely not. Sure. You don't got to ask me because that's your own funds. Once what's being taken care of in the home is being taken care of, that's all that matters. And it's, I think, super imperative that couples have their side money, that they can kind of finagle and do what they want. That way it avoids a lot of conflict. As you alluded to earlier, the number one reason why folks get divorced is because of money. So if we can have these conversations early on in the game and establish, potentially on paper, establish what the rules and regulations are going to be, that would save so many relationships, families, children, avoiding broken homes. Like, we don't realize how the lack of communication has ramifications that could potentially last for generations. For generations, right? Because if we're not having clear-cut conversations and establishing exactly what we want early on, then when we introduce children into the game, complicates it, right? And then now they're accustomed to mommy and daddy being together. Now daddy's not in the house. Like, we don't realize that I'm cute, you're cute, we're cute together is not the way to manage dating. It's unsuccessful, it's unfruitful. It doesn't get you anywhere. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation today. I think hopefully folks in the comments can agree that this is conversations we need to be having more about versus the gender wars, right?
Yeah, that's
men
what's going
do
on
this, women do that, and this is problematic. Let's be logical, let's be reasonable. We can be entertaining and have those conversations, but at the same time, really get down to it. I know you said earlier as well, we're going to talk about certified, right? Just like it to my own horn a little bit. There's lots of folks that are on social media that have an opinion, because we all got one like asshole, and they're just sharing it, and they're only causing more conflict than coming up with a resolution. They're only causing more conflict. So they go viral because they have that hot take, and it sounds good, and they make it onto Spiritual Word or Shade Room or whatever it is, and then now we're believing that this is what everyone thinks. And clearly that's not the case. So I'm so glad that you invited me. I'm so thankful that I'm here so that we can have more in-depth convo about how we can move forward, and not just he said this and she did that, and we just, the gender war thing's got to stop.
Yeah, it's
got to
bad.
stop.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. I think it's stupid. First of all, I like to ask you dudes who be saying that shit. Do you have daughters? Do you have mothers?
They do.
I don't get it. Like, it's just like when I watch some of these things that I see circulating the internet, the first thought to my mind is like, damn, they must not have no children. They must not have no daughters. Because why would you want your daughter to settle for less? Why would you want your daughter to kind of, like how they paint women sometimes is like, I would never want that for my daughter. I would want my one. If you want to call it masculine, fuck it. Brooke and Sydney, y'all better go out here and do your damn thing and get your money and not depending on no dude. But when you have a dude, like, understand partnership and everything that comes with relationships, but still be self-sufficient on your own. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I love that.
The thing is, they have mothers, they have daughters, but their mothers and their daughters are the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
So for them, it's
okay.
For them, it's,
They don't count.
Yeah, they
It's
don't count.
everybody else.
Yeah, they're not even women. Like, my daughter's a girl. Like, what do you mean, right? Like, they're not the same types that they're talking about. And that's the issue at hand. They're not these people are not reasonable. They're not trying to come up with a resolution. They're not trying to make a shift culturally in a positive way. They're trying to go viral.
Yeah.
They're not trying to come up with anything that's valuable. They're not trying to change the trajectory. They're doing that shit. They're trying to go viral. And the problem is, and I'm going to say it, we're a part of the problem because we're the one who click, we're the one who share, we're the one who comment, and then we're surprised when everybody thinks that they can be a podcaster and just grabs a mic. Yeah. We're a part of the problem as well. We're the reason they go viral. So we have to be the ones who choose to be subscriber 100,001 for MG the More. We have to be the one who chooses the kinds of people that we follow and the kinds of people and the content that we engage with. If not, then we're a part of the problem.
Yeah, that's a fact. I
don't click on a lot of that stuff. A lot of that stuff that was going viral 2 years ago from that gentleman who passed on, I don't click that stuff. I don't share it. I'm not involving myself with that because that's a part of the issue. It's called a social media feed. It is feeding your mind, your body, your spirit. And as you continue to engage in that content, it's only going to be more problematic. That's why I became a member of EYL, so I could engage in content that was going to feed my soul and spirit. That's why I became a subscriber early in the game to MG. If you're not subscribed, you need to be subscribing, liking, and sharing right now so that I can be involved in intellectual convo. That's still real, but going to be valuable. That's it.
I agree. I agree with 100%. I mean, we always talk about that too. The other people who are talking about all this like misogynistic kind of content that's going on now and all this stuff. But I feel like for people who are coming up who are younger, it's kind of destroying the way that they're going to view women when they're older. And most of these people won't even know how to be like men on their own because they're going to look at women a certain way. But I do feel like a lot of the stuff that they're attacking personally are more like OnlyFans type of women. And that's definitely played a big role in how people view women now, for sure.
Tell the truth, Tukes. What you mean? OnlyFans.
I was just thinking that too.
I know, but I'm trying to go viral too. What you mean, OnlyFans type of women?
Well, I mean, look, if you gonna make your money, you know what I'm saying, that's cool. But I think that it can be very intimidating for a man who's not really confident with himself. And that's the people that they're going after, the people who see those women and the weak people, the weak men. And they attack those people, and that's where they're getting that kind of viral content because most men are watching this stuff. And when they see a woman, you know, be able to have a business online and sell her body in that way and make money and be in opportunities that they can't be in, then it kind of, it becomes intimidating.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It makes, I guess, men or boys, however you want to look at it, grow up weak-minded, I guess, in that sense. So that's just how I feel about that whole OnlyFans kind of situation. There's a lot more to it, but
no, I know, but I get what you're saying in terms of we talk a lot about women having unrealistic expectations.
Yeah,
you know, a guy has to be 6 feet and make 6 figures and have a 6-pack, but there's also a lot of unrealistic expectations that guys have as well that we don't talk about in terms of very particular physique that the woman must have, and she has to, you know, do well for herself, but at the same time never make him feel like less than, and then she's cooking and cleaning and sexing and right? Like, I think we also have a lot of unrealistic expectations on both sides. And that's the piece that we're missing. That we're so busy fighting each other about what you should want and what I should want, instead of being realistic and then dating people that you like. Like, it's really not that hard to date the folks that you like, that are like you. The video that we were watching, what the woman wanted, she wanted a guy who's going to buy her a house so that she can brag about it. I'm sure that there are some guys that would buy a house so she can brag about it, and then they'll be happily ever after. Instead of trying to change people's minds about what they should and shouldn't want, rock with the folks that rock with you.
Facts.
It's really not that difficult.
It's not.
It requires you to be a little reflective. You have to be honest with yourself about what you're looking for and what you can offer. A lot of times people are asking for things that they can't offer. I want me a God-fearing man. When's the last time you've been to church? When's the last time you read the word? Right? So you have these expectations of folks, but yet you're not delivering on your end. And then why would that woman or that man want you?
Yeah.
Right? You want somebody on a pedestal. Are you also on a pedestal? Because that man or woman is going to want the same thing. That's reciprocity. That's equity.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, how can you ask for anything from a man if you can't even provide it for yourself? Right? So, like, she said she want a man to be able to buy her house. Can you buy your own house? Right? So how can you set that unrealistic expectation on a dude just because you feel like I am a woman?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, most women, and I agree with this, women are the prize, right? That was a clip that was going around too from Lori Harvey.
Yeah.
Women are the prize, and a lot of women are taking that shit to face value. Like, shorty, you're not the prize, mom. Sorry. Like, shorty, I'm sorry.
Not all women, that's true.
No. Shorty, you're not the prize though, right? You know who you are in this world. Some of y'all are not the prize. Like, there are women that are the prize, 100%. But there are some women, nah, you're tripping. Because how can you have these expectations for a man if you can't do it for yourself? And that's really, like, usually be my biggest thing when I see some of these things. It's like, yo, shorty, can you do this for yourself? Like, what are you doing? You want to have trips and this and Chanel and this car, and you want to live this life. It's like, can you do it for yourself? Even to us, of course, if you're dating someone who's a multimillionaire, and you're not, then obviously you can't provide what they can, but can you do even a quarter of that?
There should be reciprocity. I think
100%.
When we're talking about relationships like this, we're talking about yin and yang, right? So it doesn't have to be a perfect match. He makes $1,038,000, so I have to, no, right? But what we're talking about is if a gentleman is doing well for himself, are you someone who can then take those resources and replicate it? I think it was, oh gosh, what's his name? The rapper Guap. You know what I'm talking about, from the South. Gucci Man, right?
Oh, okay,
and then I think he gave his wife $1 million before he got locked up. When he came out, she made it 10 mil.
Yeah.
Right. So she may have not had $1 million herself, but she has the capacity, she had the capability, she had the skill set.
She had the acumen.
To take that money. I think she did cosmetics and was able to tenfold
that's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a perfect match, like identical, but it needs to be able to feed off of each other. And that's what I think is missing a lot in romantic relationships, is that there's the lack of reciprocity. Folks are looking to receive, to take, and not give. And that's something that's lacking, I think, a lot.
Yeah.
And not even these days. This is not a modern issue. A lot of this stuff we talk about, modern versus traditional or man versus woman, we are a lot more alike than we like to admit. I think that's why there's so much conflict. Like, you ever see a brother and a sister, or a mom and a daughter that are so alike they always are arguing? It's like, yo, y'all peas of the same pod.
That's me and my daughter. Me and my daughter, we got the same birthday, so we argue all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And because y'all are so similar, that's the issue at hand. I think some of us, we are so similar that we are blinded by the fact that we really want the same things. I think at the heart of it all, we want the same things. We want love, we want commitment, we want longevity, we want companionship, we want to build generational wealth. We want to do all those things, but we just don't have the right direction. We don't have the right guidance. We are distracted by social media. We're distracted by these fake images, curated images of what you think people have and they don't. They're renting it, they're borrowing it. Like, there's so many falsities that we're following blindly, thinking that's what it is. And that's not really what the case is. A lot of people are living lies, and you got folks that are following behind that lie and thinking you're not doing well enough. I'm not beautiful enough, or I'm not fit enough. Sis, she got surgery. That ass ain't real. I mean, it's real fat, right? You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Or that rollie is that's rented, or it's not even a real rollie. So it's real rap, right? It happens all the time. So it's so murky. There's so much we could talk about. There's so much we could talk about in the time that we have.
I got a few questions for you, right? So you're certified.
Yes.
Tell me, first of all, what does you being you're a certified relationship expert?
I don't like using the word expert.
Okay, so tell me,
All
what
right.
is this?
So I'm so glad you brought this up. The coaching industry is a shady industry, let me tell you.
Facts.
So my bachelor's degree is in education. I wanted to be a teacher until I started teaching. And then I went back to school to become a counselor. And then I went back to school again and became a licensed mental health counselor, okay? That's separate. Now, I decided that I wanted to coach. And the difference is that when you are licensed, you can only work in your state. So think about a lawyer or a doctor, they can only practice in that state, right? When you're a coach, there's no license, there's no certification, there are no requirements whatsoever. You can pretend that you got it and you don't have to. And on the low, a lot of relationship folks who are experts are not in committed relationships, they're not married, they're not happily married, but yet they're the expert on stuff. That's another conversation for another day. So anywho, I went back to school again. I got the certification to become a life coach. So that's what the certification is.
Okay.
You're a life coach if
Okay.
you're certified. And then from there, you can choose a speciality. So from life coaching, you could choose to be a co-parenting coach where you work with a couple that was once together. They have children. They're having conflict. You help them to figure out how to co-parent. You can be small business. You can be social media. I do dating and relationships. So that was my speciality. And that comes from my personal experience. So I was dating a gentleman in my late 20s who was either unwilling or unable to commit. I don't know which one. I don't care. All I know is that 4 years in the game, we didn't have a savings account together. We didn't have a house together. We didn't have a baby. There was no ring. There was no marriage. There was nothing that made me feel like this was an adult relationship other than I'm cute, you cute, we cute together. I'm not rocking with that, right? And so I'm like, all right, we 4 years in. Like, actually, I was like, we 2 years in. What's the plan? We're 3 years in. What's the plan? Year 4, I'm like, all right, I know my plan. And my plan is to be out because this obviously is just not working, right? And so I ended that relationship, but because I had the background that I had, I was able to kind of nurse my heart back to health, right? I was able to be reflective and say to myself, I recognize some of the mistakes I made. I just threw them under the bus just now, but in reality, I made mad mistakes too. And so I had to be reflective and I had to work on myself before putting myself back on the dating scene. And once I did that, got back on the dating scene, Facebook, right? Like people talk about social media being problematic. They don't talk about a lot of good things that come out of social media as well. So I reconnected with a guy that I dated when I was a teen through Facebook, started dating again. We were engaged to be married within 2 years. We got married a year after that, right in the middle of COVID. Nobody was there, no mama, no daddy, nobody. And had a baby 7 months ago. So that's my story. That's why I chose the speciality of dating and relationships, because I had the experience of being in a relationship that wasn't fruitful, ending it, healing myself, working on myself, getting back in the dating scene, getting married, having a baby, buying a house with the help of MG the mortgage guy, and that's it. That's what we wrote.
I'm glad you gave this whole backstory because that's
Yeah.
going to lead me into my question to you is because that story, your story, kind of is similar to probably this entire audience who's going to watch this, right?
Yeah.
Makeup's the breakup, blah, 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 blah. Then you find someone and you get with them and you kind of go through the path that you went through. And now you went and purchased a home, right? In Brooklyn, one of the most expensive places in the world to live. Shout out to y'all.
We tried.
You was a big earner, one of the first EYL University members, original OG earner. And you studied the content, you did what you had to do, and y'all purchased a house together. So, how can couples navigate the home buying process to buy their first home together, in your expert opinion?
So I would
Because you did it.
Because I did it.
You did it. So you're not speaking from theory.
Right.
Yeah.
You're speaking from, hey, y'all just heard my background. This is what I actually did. And I witnessed a part of this because I did the loan.
Right.
Right? So what can you tell our couples here who want to buy their first home together? How can they do this and be successful at it?
Yeah. So I think the first thing that you need to do is both parties need to be clear about where you want to live, right? Because it's location, 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 where you want to live, where you're willing to live. and what that home is going to look like, and then obviously what you can afford. A lot of conflict happened about he needed to have a driveway. I'm like, there's street parking, right? Or I needing to have a garage, but we got a basement. So having the conversation about what are the requirements and meeting each other halfway on that. What are the musts that we have to have, and what can we even afford in the first place?
Yeah.
So where we're going to live, what are the musts? I had to have a backyard. And it's Brooklyn, it's like this big, but I got to have a backyard, right? So we're talking about what the musts are. He got to have a game room.
Okay.
Anyway, right? So we're talking about that. And once we're able to meet each other.
That's very important.
Of course. We're able to meet each other halfway now that we know what we both want and what we like in a home. Now becomes the professionals have to come in here. This is not about my desires as much as how much money you got and how much money I got and what can we afford in a practical way. So we did the YouTube, we did the research. I spent my money and I joined EYL, became an earner, because YouTube is only going to get you so far. Now, no shade because we're on YouTube right now, but it's only going to get you so far.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to invest in yourself. If that's going to be a course, if that's going to be one of the books that MG has to offer, whatever that looks like, so that you can learn the game before you reach out to the professional. Because let me tell you, they field a lot of questions. And a lot of stuff you know on your own, or you could have figured out on your own before you start calling them. So do your research. Make sure that you have your funds in place. Then you reach out to the professionals and follow their lead. I don't know if you remember this, MG, because this was years ago. We were looking at a property that was a 3-family before we got the one that was in Canarsie. And he was like, yeah, y'all can't afford that. You can't. Like, you can try. Like, literally on paper, we probably could have purchased the home. Right? Like on paper, we were approved.
Yeah.
But you talk about being, what is the phrase you always use? Being
eligibility versus affordability. Yeah. Don't be house rich and cash poor.
Right? So he said, this is not what's in your best interest. Now, I could have said, well, FMG, this is the house I want. I want a 3-family. He said, house hack, that's what we're trying to do. Or we could be practical and say, sometimes you're putting your egos to the side. You listen to the professionals and you follow their lead accordingly. So again, choosing your location. Then secondly, being realistic about finding what you both need versus want in a home. Do your research and then reach out to the professionals. That would be my advice.
I like that. Do your due diligence, do your research. And I'm glad you brought up the point that I told you I couldn't afford that. I really tell people in real life, no, you're bugging the fuck out right now. Like, it's just not for the internet jokes. I really, like how I talk to y'all. Am I not talking, because you can kind of attest to this. Do I not talk the same shit to y'all when I'm on the phone with y'all?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why we love you. And you know, because it's so real. It's so authentic. That's why we love you. But absolutely not. He said on paper, I mean, yeah, like on paper. But that's the lifestyle that you're going to lead is going to be so unhappy, unfulfilling, uncomfortable. Oh, Alice, I'm looking at your Instagram. You like vacations? You ain't going on no vacations. Right? And then one of your tenants, I think what really was like the straw that broke the camel's back, you said if one of your tenants don't pay, you asked out. It was just like that. If one of your tenants don't pay, you asked out. So guess what? I have to be intelligent and follow the expertise. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. The expert says this is not in my best interest, it's not in my best interest. That's the end of that. And luckily I had a husband who rolled with me. That's the other piece too. We're talking about couples making decisions. Did y'all vet each other before you were even a couple? To know that this person has my best interest at heart, and so do I for them. And so if I make a decision or he makes a decision, it's not based on ego or he's a man, so it has to be right. Is this what's best for our family moving forward? And having that trust.
I like that you brought this up. Now it's going to lead me to my next question,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So how, in your opinion, how can couples manage the financial aspects of home ownership, such as mortgage payments, utilities? I gave my thought process on this, but what is your thought process on that? How should they manage the financial responsibilities of home ownership?
Well, there's a lot of factors, right? So we're going to be looking at, let's assume that both parties make around about the same money, because if you don't, then you're going to be talking about the percentage and how much more somebody should. So we're around about the same place, right? Which is where my husband and I are. So that makes it easy. You then have to decide, and this should have been a conversation previously about who's covering what. Is this going to be a 50-50 split? And don't let nobody shame you into, oh, that's a roommate if y'all 50-50. Not when you're purchasing a home. Not when you're establishing generational wealth that's going to last you potentially 4 generations. But I digress. Whatever your decision is, you're going to decide what that percentage looks like. My advice, as I mentioned before, you have a shared account that both parties are responsible for contributing into. and then that way the bills are automatic. So M&T Bank takes out their money automatically. We ain't got to worry about that. Water bill, gas bill, whatever it is. Then you need to have your own separate accounts for the money that's left over so that you can enjoy life. I don't want to have to call my husband because I want to get my hair done. I got to ask permission to take $200 out of our shared account. It's messy. It's problematic.
Okay.
Do the shared account. You calculate all of your bills. You decide what percentage is fair according to whatever. You contribute that weekly, monthly, whatever that looks like. Have your auto pay so the house is always cared for. Additional funds is spent how you see fit. Put a percentage aside potentially for savings and so on and so forth.
That's
but again, conversations. This, I'm telling you, people say, Alison, your advice is going to chase men away. Don't tell women to do that. No. Well, yes. Let me correct that. Yes, chase the wrong man away. I'm literally having conversations like this on first dates. What are your thoughts about splitting bills? What's your belief system behind what the roles and responsibilities are for men or women? What do you think the role is for a wife? What do you think the role is for a husband? What are you looking for in a potential wife? These are literally on the first date. Oh, that's too heavy. They're going to run. Good. I want anyone who doesn't want to talk about real life shit to run from me. I didn't say, MG, will you marry me on the first date? I said, what are your thoughts on the roles and responsibilities of a husband? Not my husband, a husband. So if you run away from me because I'm asking you questions about your thoughts on husbandry, that's outrageous. Good, please run. Because that means that person's intentions wasn't legit anyway. So those conversations need to be had early in the game, just so we put it out there. Then thereafter, let me tell you, because somebody going to say in the comments, I asked those questions and then they be switching up later. You have to constantly assess over time. Constantly assess over time. What do I mean by that? When we're in school, we don't just go from first grade to second grade to third grade. There's state tests. You got essays, you got projects, right? Like you're constantly homework every day, quizzes, do now. They constantly are checking your understanding to decide, okay, this kid needs to go on or needs to repeat the grade, right? Same thing in romantic relationships. I don't just ask one time, what's your thoughts on marriage, and if it sounds good, then I just believe you. I'm constantly assessing over time. I'm paying attention to your behaviors. I'm looking at the way that you treat maybe other women in your life, right? I'm looking at your spending habits. A lot of women love guys who are spending a whole lot of money in tricking. I'm not a fan of it too much because I need to make sure that you can save money later on if things get rough. So paying attention over time is a constant assessment. Those are things that should be happening before the video clip that we showed in the opening, which is an engaged couple having a disagreement as to whether or not a man is responsible for paying for a home for his wife. That's not a ridiculous request. The ridiculousness is that she already has a ring on her finger and now they're having the conversation. That's the problem.
Look, drop some gems in the comments for my girl Alison. She ain't out here playing with y'all. She over here certified gem dropper. She just went on a whole rant on y'all. Okay, so make sure y'all dropping some gems in the comment if you find this information useful, and make sure you hit the like button. Tanisha, please throw the link in the chat for that free FHA webinar that we are doing this Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Because if you're looking to buy a home, you need to use FHA loans in today's market, and I'm going to explain why on the webinar. So that was a quick commercial break. Now, question, because you're talking a whole lot of shit right now, and I love every moment of this, right? So how do couples balance their differences when it comes to, the preferences, what one feel is priority versus another one might feel this is a priority when it comes to buying real estate together?
That's a good one. So we already did the spiel about having the conversation early in the game, so I ain't going to go in on that, right? So this is where we are right now in this moment. There's a conflict about what direction we should go in. The direction, should we have a tenant? Should we Airbnb? The conflict of should we
live in Brooklyn or live in Queens?
Right. Should we invest in another state? What should we do, right? So we need to backwards plan, right? Remember I told you I had a degree in education, but I didn't like teaching. It didn't last very long. This is what they do in education. You backwards plan. You say, I want my students to know how to add by the end of this class. That's the end goal. So how can I get to the end goal? Okay, we're going to go through numbers. We're going to do this. We're going to even and odd, whatever that might look like. So backwards planning. What's the end goal? Is the end goal that we become entrepreneurs? Because if that's the end goal, then perhaps the Airbnb might be a better idea than having the tenant. Is the end goal that we have as many doors as children? So if that's the case, then we might want to think about doing the multifamily over doing the single family. So you're backwards planning. What is the vision for our household? What is the long term? And it might not even be for just me and me and my husband and my kid right now.
Yeah.
It may be for our grandchildren. What does it look like? So you start with the end goal first and establish that vision. And I hate to be a little traditional, but I would probably, relatively speaking, allow my husband to take a little bit more of the lead on that if he's the visionary, which I'm married a visionary. So what is the vision that he has for us? Am I in agreement with that vision? Okay, well, now that we have the vision clear, is it entrepreneurship? Is it just consistent contribution towards the mortgage? Is it going to be multiple, whatever that looks like? Start with that, and then you backwards plan. So, okay, if this is what the end goal is, what can we put in place? And it's not going to be my opinion. It's not his opinion. It's what do the experts say? You use your resources. You purchase the books. You purchase the courses. You go onto YouTube. You join the communities. What do the experts say about purchasing homes in Maryland right now? What do the experts say about Airbnb? Is it a dub, or what are the experts saying? And then that's the direction that we'll go in. So visionary first, establishing that final goal. What do we want this to look like? And then planning accordingly.
Should unmarried couples purchase real estate together?
From a dating and relationship perspective,
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Why?
No. I think that it's messy and problematic. Now, of course, anybody can break up, right? But people who are married are less inclined to walk out that door when they know that they have to go through divorce. Divorce is not an easy feat, right? And so when we're establishing investments and business together without this gentleman, because if I'm with you, I'm going to say yes. And that means you are not in a place where you trust that you want to live the rest of your life with me, but you want to invest with me. So my money good, but my fingers not. That wouldn't rock with me. Again, that might not be, I said, always say, go to the experts. I always say that, go to the experts. That might not be what the experts would recommend. But for me, I would not recommend that a woman puts in money with a man to purchase a home that is not their husband or their wife. I wouldn't recommend it.
What if you guys have the same intentions, though, and you don't want to necessarily get married and you don't want to do all that stuff yet?
Why not? If I believe in the institution of marriage and I trust this man with tens of thousands of dollars and a vision that I have for myself, my future children, my grandchildren, if I trust you with this, my vision and my tens of thousands and $100,000, but I can't trust you to give you my hand in marriage, something doesn't line up unless both parties don't believe in the institution. We ain't talking to you. You in the comments going to say, well, I don't even believe in marriage because it's just a piece of paper. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself, but whatever. We ain't talking to you. If you believe in the institution of marriage, and this man believes in the institution of marriage, but he doesn't want to marry me, but he thinks that my money is good and he has a similar goal in mind and he thinks that both of us can get there, then why can't we be married? Or why can't we hold off? What's the big deal of holding off a year or two? Hold off. If you're real serious about me, then we can hold off. I feel the same thing. I feel the same way about children. Right? Like, so you can get me pregnant and oh man, you're gonna make me say some rough stuff on here.
Go ahead.
So you can get me pregnant, you can make me less desirable on the dating scene. It's the truth. It makes dating so much more difficult when you're a woman with a child and multiple children, but yet you don't want to ask me for my hand in marriage. So you can't commit to me, but you want me to commit my womb to you. No, thank you. I'm not doing it.
I feel like a lot of women have kids nowadays, though.
Absolutely.
So for me personally, I don't really look at that as like I mean, it could be because it's another like.
Nah, some guys will look at that as like a turnoff. Like you got kids.
No, yeah. I feel like
Absolutely.
most people probably will, but I feel like it's pretty common nowadays for younger women to have children. So it's kind of like, when you're in your 30s, that's pretty much what you're dealing with now.
Yeah,
A woman with
I would
kids.
agree. Obviously, the older we are, the more likely people will have children.
Yeah.
But if you had twins, right? Two women looking exactly the same with the same exact stats, loving, affectionate, whatever you're looking for, right? That makes a good woman to you, and one had a child and one didn't.
Yeah.
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 Right?
Yeah.
And
No kids for the win.
Right, for a couple of reasons. There's the issues of potentially the ex and what kind of conflict that guy,
Absolutely.
the new guy would have with the old guy.
You don't want the drama.
Right,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
child may not take a liking to you, so now there's conflict in the household, especially you're talking about like an older child, right? A
Yeah, yeah.
13-year-old boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, what does that look like in the household? And for women too, it's not only one-sided that they, if you had twins and the guy didn't have any kids, I'm going to go with the guy with no kids. I'm thinking about the finances being poured into the other household, right? So, and of course, I want every man, every father, every black man to contribute to the household. I want him to be present to every game, every open school night, everything. At the same token, I don't want that to be my man. So that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about these podcasters who are so misogynistic. And it's like, well, what about your daughter? And what about your mother? Yeah, it's all other women except for mine. Like, I want every dad to be active. I want every dad to contribute. I don't want my man to be somebody else's dad. Right? So if avoidable, like you said, though, we're getting older, so that might not be realistic or reasonable. And this is not a slight to single parents. And single parents, there is love for you out there. Believe you me, I work with clients with more than one child and they're happy and they're getting married. But I'm just saying it makes it more complicated. It is the truth. It's undeniable.
Yeah, my mom always told me that growing up. That's always the thing. For sure.
So how can couples maintain a healthy relationship? Because look, before I go into that, do you know the divorce rate in America?
Maybe 51%?
51%. What percentage of that is because of finances, you think?
Well, they say the majority.
Majority. So let's just say 40% is because, hypothetically, right, is because of finances. So what can couples do while owning a home together, maintain a healthy relationship when they have more bills now? How do you go through that process now? Because when you're renting or living at home and you don't have that major responsibility and you buy a house, now you have this, let's call it a spade. You buy a house, it's a liability because it's not producing income, right? So you have to pay for everything that happens, the maintenance of the house, repairs, you got to pay the mortgage, the utilities, everything. And that could be a culture shock. It could be a payment shock for some people, especially if they're not accustomed to spending that type of money every single month. So how do couples maintain a healthy relationship between themselves while being homeowners and continuing to thrive as homeowners and now going into real estate investing?
A couple of things. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. You have to create a budget that both parties agree to. So what happens many times, I can tell you it happened for me, it happened for my friend. We purchased the home that we were approved for, but not the home of our dreams. So what do? We overcompensate. Well, I'm gonna buy all the furniture I ever wanted, right? I'm buying the highest end things because if I didn't get the house I wanted, at least the inside's gonna look the way that I want it to look. And we fall into the trap of going over budget, overextending ourselves, swiping your card without having conversations. So now you're going into a larger debt without communicating with your partner, renovations that go over the top of what I want versus what's realistic. So going into that home, there needs to be a budget that's put in place that addresses all of those things. There needs to be savings that's put in place for the contingencies, for the things that you don't anticipate. Now, as we continue on through this home owning process, we need to be conscious of the decisions that we make unrelated to the home. What do I mean by that? The vacations that we're going on, the fun, the games, the dates, kids, right? Budgeting for daycare. We need to be mindful of how we're spending our money because when you have one person who's a runaway train, that's the person that's going to cause that relationship to spiral out of control. And a lack of communication, a lack of transparency about the finances. So establishing that budget in the get-go, from as soon as we get into that house, this is the line that we have for furniture. This is what we have for reno. This is what we have for such and such. And sticking to that budget is going to save so many people from a lot of heartache and pain, especially when it comes to the stress of home ownership. Having that contingency. My pipe burst underneath my house. I ain't call you about it because I didn't want to bother you. My pipe burst underneath my house because it's your fault.
It's all you and Jordana. Everything's my fault.
Yeah,
it wasn't in the blueprint, huh?
No, it wasn't in the blueprint. So the pipe burst underneath the house. The city's pipe, right? But happened to burst underneath my house. $12,500. And DEP, the people in charge of environmental protection, whatever it is, water in New York City, said you got 3 days to fix it. What if we didn't have the $12K? What would we had done? And going back to the specific topic at hand of that kind of stress negatively impacts relationships.
Absolutely.
So it's not just the money or just the home, but then it's, well, see, that's why, because you bought that game. The game was $50. You bought the game the other day. That's why we ain't got the $12,000 to fix the pipe. Or well, you always getting your hair done and you always giving money to your mother, right? And then now it's all this. Then folks are not being intimate. You got conflict. Try to have
Yeah.
sex with your girl when you're in conflict. She not having it, right? So then now the intimacy, a lot of this stuff, and then now potentially cheating. So all over a $12,000 pipe because you didn't have your finances in order. We have to have contingencies in plan. We have to in play. We have to have a budget in play because it all can become catastrophic over not being organized. So now he not done had a baby. Look, all of that over a $12,000 pipe.
Don't be house rich and cash poor.
That's what you told me.
Listen to MG.
I listen to MG.
Because shit breaks all the time. I told y'all that. You got to say, listen to that part of the blueprint.
Well,
I say a couple times. Shit breaks.
but you don't really understand it till you're in the midst of it.
No, I agree.
You don't really get it.
I agree. I think everything that you said here was spot on. I don't disagree with anything you said, except for in the beginning of the conversation. Some of the stuff, you know.
Man,
What are you
it
talking
was,
about?
I think everything she said was valid.
No, I didn't say it wasn't valid. I just
Yeah.
said maybe some of the stuff I probably didn't disagree.
I mean, you don't have to agree with everything, of course.
No,
Yeah.
we
Everyone has their own
we can have a
things.
respectful conversation.
Yeah.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I think Shorty in that video that we played earlier was out of her fucking mind.
She was tweaking.
She was definitely loose. But I understand. Look, to put a bow on this, women want providers, and basically that's what she's saying. She wants a man who is a bona fide provider. She wants a rich nigga, right? So she could brag about it to her friends.
Yes.
It's for her own selfish reasons,
Yes.
and she wants someone who's going to like drop bags, and because it's not going to stop at just a house. It's going to be no. I need the G63, right? The Brabus kit.
It's a wrap.
You know what I mean? Like she's going to want this. She's going to want that. I'm going to want this Birkin. I'm going to want like it's never going to stop with that, right? And that's what I got from the video of that girl that we played earlier. Is that for her, she just wants a rich guy who's going to spoil her unconditionally. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's the way you articulate it and your tone. Her tone, I think, was just definitely off, and it just gives too much narcissistic vibes to me that would turn me off. Even if I could do that for you, I wouldn't want to do it for you because I don't think you're going to appreciate it because it's always going to be like, what's next? Right? That's just how I got it. But I think overall, when you tie in love and real estate, it's a very tricky, sticky topic.
Yes.
And I think, and that's why I wanted to bring you on here because you are certified. You're going viral all over the internet, talking about relationships. I actually know your story. That's why I'm glad you spoke about it because a lot of these people are not in relationships. They don't have healthy marriages. They don't own no real estate. So I thought you'd be the perfect person to have a love and real estate conversation with. And I think I'm gonna bring you up here often when I start seeing these clips. And I'm like, yo, we need to talk about this. Let's bring Alison back on. What'd you say they call them? Correspondents or like cast? What was it part of the cast for the podcast that you've been on?
Yes, the cast. Yeah.
You're part of the cast now.
Oh.
Deemed and proclaimed.
Hey, hey.
So I think this was a good conversation. Tooks, you got anything else to add to this? How long we been on this? Because I know Alison got to get out of here.
An hour and 16.
An hour and 16 minutes because you got to be back by 7, right?
Yep.
All right.
You got to relieve the nanny.
Got to relieve the nanny. Okay. Final thoughts. Alison or Tooks, you go first.
I mean, I pretty much said what I felt before. I think everything you said was pretty spot on. And I think there has to be, of course, balance in relationships. And I think really social media, it might be a little wild to say, but I feel like social media is basically destroying a lot of relationships and kind of changing the way that relationships are, were when I was growing up for the most part, because I didn't have things to look at and have women to see on the internet all the time. Every time you open up your phone, half naked and all these things. So it's like, you just like to, you wanted to find somebody who you like and it likes you. And that's the biggest thing. And I feel like most people don't even think about those things anymore. They just think about what they want, materialistic things, what they should have. And it's just simple. Like how you grew up is how it should be, most of the time. So that's just where I stand on that.
Okay. Final thoughts, Alison.
I'd say my final thought is we have to be more strategic about hustling for our last name and not our first. A lot of people are shallow. They're not looking for depth in their relationships. They're not looking for character in their potential partners. They're not looking at longevity. Instead, they're looking at who's cute and what's a good look on Instagram or on TikTok today. Instead of really taking the time to vet folks to make sure that they are a good match for them and they're able to execute the goals and dreams that they have. We talk a lot about generational wealth. We talk a lot about establishing something for the next generation. And for a lot of people, that's a joke. It's just a line that we like to say because it sounds cute in this day and age. Black folks have done a really good job recently of getting our ish together financially. We're getting the properties, we're learning how to invest, we're doing all that stuff, but we're not correcting our romantic relationships. So when we say that we're spending all of this money and learning and doing all these things so we can have generational wealth, but how are we going to have the next generation if we're not correcting our romantic relationships? Our romantic relationships are a mess. We weren't taught how to date appropriately, and so we're just getting into relationships willy-nilly. And as long as we have these broken homes, we're not going to be able to create generational wealth. Look at the generationally wealthy families, the Vanderbilts, right? The Carnegies, the Rockefeller-y'alls, right? Like these families are who they are because they're a family. And as long as we have these broken homes everywhere and we're not establishing strong roots, especially in the Black community, where we have two-parent households, where we have folks who are married, this generational wealth thing that's real cute to say out loud is not going to happen in the long term.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
That was a bar. That was a whole lot of fucking game right there. Family.
Family. That's the real currency. Relationships. That's the
Wow.
real currency. We talking about the dollar and the yen and brick and all that kind of stuff. Relationships. That's the real currency.
That was a bar, yo. You talk about generational wealth, it sounds cute. But how you doing that without family?
Without family.
The Rockefellers, the Kennedys,
Yeah.
all these are families.
Families. And that's how they're able to keep the properties, the investments underneath one roof, one umbrella. Family. The institution of marriage. I know it's not popular,
Yeah.
but the institution of marriage. It's key. That's how they're able to flip it and continue those funds.
Yeah.
That was a big gem. I'm at a loss for words after that one. Can't talk generational wealth without family.
Can't talk generational wealth without family.
Wow. Tell them how to find you, Alison.
Well, folks, you can find me at Align with Alison, ALIGN with Alison at Instagram, TikTok, trying to get YouTube, trying to get my podcast together. I'm working on it. Don't push me. But that's where you can find me, at Align with Alison.
Whew. Can't have generational wealth without family. Will got to clip that part out.
There's a lot of clips on this.
Yeah, we need like 10 clips out of this one, I think.
Yeah.
There was a lot of clips in this. That last part, that was a whole, like, a lot of shit you said. Your final thoughts. Your final gem. That was incredible. Shout out to Alison, y'all. I'm so proud of Alison, y'all. Alison over here came a big earner 4 years ago.
Yep.
Now out here, she fired her job. She out here working. You know what I mean? Like, she out here working, doing her thing, building businesses and brands and everything like this. You know, I'm just so proud of you. Shit, like, I'm sorry.
Yo, this guy, he normally don't do that either.
Yeah, I slipped a little bit, but yeah, I'm sorry. All right, so my free webinar this Sunday, Unlock the Power of FHA Loans, a better choice for today's real estate market. I'm explaining why on Sunday, this Sunday, April 23rd from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is totally 100% free. Okay, so make sure you guys tap in. Tanisha, can you put the link in the comments in the live chat? We're going to put it in the description. Go to my Instagram page, MG the Mortgage Guy. You will be able to register for this. This is a free webinar. It's going to probably be 2 to 3 hours long. Tons of information. Unlock the power in FHA loans in today's real estate market, because conventional financing is getting tougher and tougher and more expensive than FHA, and I'm gonna break all of this down for you guys on Sunday. So make sure you join. If you've been at any of my webinars, you know I'm not about the motivation, I'm not about the fluff. I'm giving you real life information, giving you gems. We're gonna have slides for this. You're gonna get a lot of information. So all my real estate agents, all my home buyers, make sure you guys tap in. Make sure you tap in with my girl Alison. We're going to talk offline right now because you said something interesting about podcasting and stuff like that. So I'm going to proposition you because I have many ideas as you were speaking. Right? And Tanisha, Who is this T.O. guy? Block him. We don't like him. Block him, please. He got to go. All right? He's part of the problem, not the solution. So, yeah. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you hit the like button. Follow Alison. Go to mgbookstore.com. Register for, the free webinar. Buy some books. Do what you got to do. All right? Matt Garland, NMLS number 58700, but better known as MG the Mortgage Guy. Peace.